Shalom Aleichem. Our journey together through Shas Mishnayos continues in chapter 2 of Bava Batra, Mishnayot 5 and 6 today. Mishnah Hey, Marchikin et hasulam. You need to distance your ladder, mina shovach, from a dovecote, arba amot, 4 amot away from a dovecote. And it's not just your own dovecote, but even if you want to lean a ladder on your wall, and on the other side of the wall is your neighbor, and he's got a dovecote, so you can't leave your ladder opposite his dovecote. The Mishnah says, why? Kedei shelo tikpots hanamia. So a mongoose will not use the ladder to climb over there and access the doves. The Mishnah adds, V'eta kotel, and distance your wall, if you want to build a wall, min hamazchila, from the gutter of your neighbor's wall, arba amot. You have to have a 4 amma gap there. Why? Kadeshi Zokif at the sulam. So your neighbor can lean a ladder next to his existing wall and clean out that gutter to allow drainage of the rainwater so it doesn't spill over and ruin the wall or the surrounding area. Now the Mishnah gets back to the doves. Marchikin et shovach. We distance the dovecote, mina'ir, from a city, chamishim amma. We want it to be 50 amma at least away from the city because the doves are going to go around and eat things. And also, v'lo yaseh adam shovach betoch shalo. Don't make a dovecote in your own property, ela im ken yesh lo chamishim amma l'kol unless it's in the middle of your property where there's 50 amma all around. The idea is we don't want your doves going into a neighboring field and devouring things in the neighboring field. If they have 50 amma in your own property, then they're going to fill up, in their own property first. They're not likely to go and eat somebody else's things. Now, obviously, doves can fly more than 50 amma, but in the Gemara, they explain typically, when they go out snacking, they don't go that far if they can find food. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, he disagrees. He says you need beit or bat kurin. You need the area of land where you would sow 4 core of seeds. The Bartanura points out the core is shloshim seya of area of actual, square footage. But ain't halacha Rabbi Yehuda. He does that. The halacha is not like this, that he requires a very large area. And he says, Rabbi Yehuda says, why? Malo shegar yona. That's as far as the yona will typically fly, even though, they take breaks in the middle. They would cover a larger area. V'im lokhu, but if he had bought a property with a dovecote already, a filu beit rova, even if he only has 1/4 a kav worth of area for the doves to feed on in that property, harehu bechazkato. It has a chazaka that it was already there. It's a pre-existing dovecote, and the chazaka is the neighbors knew about it and allowed it to happen, or he made an arrangement with the neighbors, or it wasn't causing a problem. On the Mishnah of Nipol. Nipol is something that was nafal, that fell down. This is a dove, a young dove, a chick, that fell out of the nest. And they don't really fly, but they do hop around. So nimsa b'toch chamishim amma, if you find it within 50 amma of a dovecote, harehu shel bal shovach. It belongs to the owner of that dovecote. These little fledglings, they don't fly, they typically hop around, but they don't really hop more than 50 amma. They kind of want to keep an eye on the nest. Chutz me chamishim amma, if you find it outside of a 50 amma radius from the dovecote, harehu shel motzo, it belongs to whoever finds it. Now, obviously, this is where there's no siman, there's no name tag on the little dove that you could return it. Nimsa ben shnei shavacha, but what if you find one of these fledglings in between 2 separate dovecotes with 2 different owners? Karav lezeh shalo, karav lezeh shalo. Well, what is it closer to? If it's closer to one side, it belongs to that side. Mechetzia, what is right in the middle? Shneichem yachloku. They will divide it. They're not literally going to cut the little bird in half. They would divide the value. And here it's important to note that Kahati brings, and it's based on the Gemara, that this going after the distance, the closer one wins, is only when they're about equal in size. If there was one dovecote with 1,000 doves and one dovecote with 10 doves, then even if this little one is closer, and they're both within 50 amma of one another, even if the little fledgling is closer to the small dovecote, well, since there's so many more doves in the big one, we would holech achar harov. We'd go after the majority, the larger number. We'd assume it came from the bigger coop, the bigger population. So it's only when the numbers are similar that we would say, well, that's not a proof, and we'd go after the distance to the dovecote to decide ownership. Don't be shocked that there could be so many doves in one place. If you've been to Beit Guvrin, I highly recommend it. It's a little south of Beit Shemesh. You'll see that they had carved thousands and thousands of little niches, little dovecotes. They're literally little cubicles, cubbies, for a pair of doves to be nesting in, thousands and thousands of them, because the doves were a very big part of the diet, but they were also used as karbanot. In Beit Guvrin, it's kind of on the way to Yerushalayim if you're coming from the south. So that could be, people stopped off and bought a pair of doves for karbanot and continued to Yerushalayim from there. We should all be zoche to bring doves to the Beit HaMikdash. B'mheira v'yameinu tzizku l'mitzvot.